Hiya. As you can see, I'm halfway through my makeup and I thought I'd mix things up today and do something that I never do. I'm going to do a really full, dramatic kind of glam. So I'm going to start with a little bit of eye cream under my eyes because I'm going to go in with a lot of concealer to really brighten that area, and that is going to look heavy if I haven't really moisturised that area. I was just on a Zoom and we did lots of contouring and this, that, the other that I wouldn't usually tend to do. And do you know what? It was such a laugh to do something a bit different. So I thought I'm going to do something similar here. So I'm going to start with some Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer. The smallest bit of this goes so far, like that is how much I'm using for 2 eyes. And I won't need half as much of that. But what I'm going to do is take this like right the way under this eye in almost like a V shape. I'm going to take it in the middle of these brows as well. And I'm literally going to buff this in. You'll notice, I mean, I have got product under the lash line, but even if I didn't, I would never personally take concealer right the way up there because I think it can look really heavy. So instead, I'd kind of skip directly under the eye and then just make a point of going under here. Now, as I'm sure you can see, this is such a full coverage concealer. So it gives a really flawless finish. I have to admit, I literally took off what I just had on using a cotton pad and some micellar water. So for all I know, there may still be a bit of residue there, but I'm sure you can tell that is a really flawless kind of start that we're getting off to. So under eye concealer is on. I'm going to go in with some CC cream all over. Oh, there we go. That was a brand new one, so it took a little minute. And I'm going to take this all over the complexion. Again, the theme for today's video is completely full coverage and flawless. So I'm going in with lots of product. To be honest, I'm just having a bit of fun for the day. If you did prefer something that was lighter and softer, most of my other videos are. So do have a little look. There's loads of videos in the IGTV section that are much fresher. But I just fancied throwing the rule book out today and going crazy. Doing a bit of an Instagram makeup, should we call it? Okay, so that feels quite flawless everywhere. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little stubby brush like this and I'm going to really be very considered with where I put my bronzer to give kind of a contoured finish. So I'm going to take this, first of all, along this cheek, but almost a bit higher than the natural crease so that I'm lifting the shape of the cheek. Going to do the same on the other side. This is with a cream. I find that you've got a little bit more control with the creams because you can blend them out if you've gone in a bit too harshly. Whereas powders, once you've kind of messed it up, it's a little bit harder to recover from. So I'm working this right the way through these temples. I'm going to go through that hairline. And you'll notice I'm leaving the centre of the forehead blank because I want there to be an illusion that the centre of the face is kind of fairer. I'm going to go on the edge of that nose. I'm going to go back in and put some highlighter on that as well. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with some blush. So I'm going to take, again, this is a cream formula. I'm going to take the same brush and really gently buff the excess on the back of my hand and pat that through the fullest part of the cheeks. Keep it nice and bright under the eyes. I'm going to put a tiny bit on the end of my nose to just give it some lift and shape. What am I going to do now? Now I'm going to go back in with my concealer. Make sure I've brightened the centre of that nose. That's definitely a tip for this kind of thing. And then to seal everything in place, I'm going to use quite a fair bit of powder. This is it's the new Hourglass setting powder actually, ambient lighting. It's kind of a mixture of the ambient lighting setting powder and the ambient lighting highlighter powder. Now, if you've tried either of those before, you'll know that even though they set your complexion, they're really, really luminous. So even though I'm achieving this velvety finish, I want to keep the luminosity. It's so funny, isn't it? But like, this feels so full for me. I think the difference is the under eye concealer, because I rarely use that. Okay, while that's setting, I've bought some of my old Peaches faves as well. So I should have probably done my eyes first, but I forgot I'd bought this in. I'm going to go in with a little bit of Wild West pigment. Now, I've already got on a shadow stick. It's one of the nude sticks that I tried the other day. I have to say, they are some of the best shadow sticks I've ever used. The wear of them, everything, I've been really impressed. But anyway, in the lid, I'm taking a little bit of Peaches pigment. I'm going to press it into the lid, into the brush in the lid before I go in on my eyes, just to avoid any drop down. And then I'm going to just take a little touch of this. I haven't put enough on. The reason I'm going in really gently is so that I don't get any drop down my face. I'm just going to put a little bit of Wild West pigment through the lid to give that shadow a little bit of lift and a tiny bit more warmth. Can you see how it's slightly more coppery? So I'm going to do the same on the other side, hoping that it's not going to drop down. Some of it already has. Don't worry, we'll deal with that in a second. Now, I'm so glad I'd powdered, because that's half the battle. Because now, if I take a clean brush, I can brush some of it off, not all of it. It has spilled a bit. And I've managed to get a brush hair in my mouth. We'll say no more about that. Okay, tidied that up. That bronze looks nice. 8 minutes, got plenty of time. I'm going to take a little bit of MAC Liquid Last Liner, which is this little Painterly one. Painterly, that's another MAC product. I don't even know what I meant. I meant it's a little liner that you paint on. But I obviously had a little MAC head on me. Now, I'm going to take this along the lash line, first of all, to add a bit more drama to this look, but second of all, I like to do this because I'm leaving a little line for myself that I'm going to stick my lashes to in a moment. So there's one flick on. Let's do the other one. I like as well that you paint this on. It's almost like a gel consistency, but as you can see, it's very wet looking. And what it means is it kind of stays where you put it rather than slipping away into the natural creases in your eye. So I like that it just stays where you tell it to stay. Now, there we go. I'm just going to do the flick on that side as well. And I might just leave my eye open for this flick, so that I'm drawing it on in the right place. What am I doing here? I've made a right mess. Just stay with me. And I'm gonna... Do you know what? From far away, you can't really tell. But up close, that absolutely is a disaster. But the good thing about this makeup is we're doing a more is more. So I'm just going to keep going and style it out until they're both even. So let me just give that more of a flick at the end. Let me balance those out because that definitely had to get quite large to make up for how much I'd messed up there. Okay, again, I'm looking straight into my mirror so I can see exactly what it is that I'm having to repair the damage of here, which in fairness does appear to be a lot of damage. That is going to do. I am not worrying any more than that. Right, how much time have I got left? I've got 4 minutes. We're going to do this. I've got pre-prepared Peach's lashes that I cut down. I've taken 2 little notches off the ends. The best way to do your lashes is put them up to your lash line dry, and if there's any hangover, that's how much you cut off. I would say with 90% of lashes, I have to cut something off. And when people say, oh, they look silly on me or I don't feel comfortable in them, it's often because they're just a bit too long. And when you do cut them, they're going to feel great. I'm really conscious now that I have to look down to put the glue on those. And I've done my wonky eyeliner and you're probably going to be looking at that. But you know what? You know by now, don't you, that these videos are just 15 minutes of a bit of fun. So it really, I think there's more important things going on in the world at the moment than whether my eyeliner is perfect. Am I right or am I right? Now, I'm leaving those to set. While I leave those to set, I'm going to go in with a bit of a nice brown Peaches liner. I'm going to sharpen it a small bit. I'm taking this just on the outline. Obviously plumping at my lips a bit. Okay, going in with a bit of Doll Beauty Lippy. This is Double Booked. There we go, nice and 90s. I'm going to go in with my eyelashes, keep my eyes open and just drop these onto that liner. These are the Peaches number 2s. Look how easy they were to throw on. They are just perfect because it's such a thin, flimsy band and they look like individual lashes. If you're terrified of eyelashes, they're the ones for you. And then finally, I'm going to go in with a little bit of Peaches pigment in Pearl. This is a lovely iridescent pink. And I'm going to make a real point of accentuating the brightness in those highlighter areas. Going to take that right the way along the cheek, actually. Go down here a little bit, along that brow bone. Make sure I've blended out the edges. And there you have it. Well, there you are. Something a bit different for today, especially glam. I thought it'd be a bit of fun, and I'll speak to you soon.